Hello and welcome back to the podcast. Glad to have you with us. It's the majestic voices of Shawnee and Rita Bile joining me today to break down the 3-0 Manchester United victory at Old Trafford against Watford. And let's get straight into it. How crap do you guys think Watford were on a scale of 1 to 10? Or do you think they actually could have won that game had it not been for the VAR decision?
I
Or,
think
well,
what
got a point, rather. Not
when I first
sorry.
at the time I thought the VAR was harsh. I thought that was going to be a goal because I didn't really see other place to put his arm, so I thought that was a bit unfortunate. But I think that's how the rule is. So about that, and Watford were bad, but I'm going to give it to United today. They did what I wanted them to do, and they played well.
Look, before I get to United, I just want to say I agree with the rule. I think it removes all grey areas when it comes to handball because it is way too much last season. And FIFA just decided that if it hits a hand, it's no goal, and it applies to everyone. So for me, that is fair. So I agree with that 100%. We were good. We weren't great. We were good. I don't want to complain too much because we won. I think at the start of the game, Watford set up really well. To be honest, they fell away, but I thought they set up really well. I think they were pressing when they had to, which was difficult for us because we couldn't play the ball over. And we had Bruno Fernandes having to come back into the back line, having to do it himself. And then they were sitting back when they had to, which made it very difficult for us at the beginning of the game. And how was our first goal? I forgot our first goal was, but we eventually got through.
Our first goal was a penalty.
Yeah,
Bruno Fernandes.
From Bruno Fernandes.
And
but
after the first and the second, they kind of fell away, and that played in our favor because we could express ourselves a little bit more. And I feel like I said, I don't want to complain too much, but what I think we need to work on is that when a team is pressing you, it's not, a manager doesn't have to tell you, it's patterns you have to work on in training. You have to hit the ball over. That's what you have to do. Otherwise, you won't be able to get out. And I do think we're going too narrow for most of the game. We had to stretch Watford. We had to keep switching. And we just weren't doing it in the first half, which made it very difficult for us. But overall, not bad. And there is a little bit of improvement in our ball movement.
Well, three things there. The first thing is that I agree with the handball decision as well, because I think this nonsense of clear and obvious is bullshit. With or without VAR, it's nonsense. Like, can something be a foul or can something not be a foul? End of story. If it touches your hand, it touches your hand. If it doesn't, it doesn't. So I agree with that. Because, like, how do you prove that someone didn't mean to put their arm somewhere? It's almost impossible. You can't, unless you can read minds, you don't know what a player was thinking. And yes, it's good to give the benefit of the doubt, but like, when do you give the benefit of the doubt, and then when do you not give the benefit of the doubt? That's been the big argument of VAR decision, consistency, right? Well, how you create consistency with rules is making clear-cut rules. There's no ways a VAR decision can go wrong if a handball is a handball, end of story, you know what I mean? So that's the solution. And, I know a lot of people will hate on VAR, and that's your choice, but the real problem is the rule book, not VAR. VAR is just a system to review decisions. Whether the right decisions are made is not VAR's fault. That's the people in charge who are making the decisions. But anyways, second thing you said, I think me and Shawnee called it. Watford did drop off after the penalty and after the second goal because they're a very fragile team. Yeah. That's what happens with relegation teams, right? Watford had a lot of time off into this game, so they did have an advantage. I think they were well drilled at the beginning, and the first 10 minutes was scary. As usual with United, because United take a while to, get off the bus. It's like some of them are still at Stamford Bridge nowadays. And I think, look, that's going to happen with United. We're not the United of old, and it's not an excuse or anything. It's just a reality or pragmatic analysis, if you will. I think United take a lot of time to get into the game, and I think Watford were well drilled because they had so much time off. But I think, like all relegation sides, they're so fragile. All it takes is one goal and heads drop, massively. And on top of that, the reason why they are where they are is because of a lack of quality. So 9 times out of 10, when you go up against a team that's in the relegation zone, they're not going to come back, not because they don't want to, not because they're not desperate enough, just because they don't have the quality. Like they just didn't have the quality to score 3 goals to get back into that game, So that's the thing. And then the third thing you said about the coaching, Yeah, that is a coaching problem, and I think it's so easy to use Ole Gunnar Solskjaer as a scapegoat. Yeah, we get it. He's not good enough. He's a clown. Blah 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 blah. But if you know anything about football, the manager's job is not to run drills at training. The manager does have a part to play, but the manager is the guy who oversees everything and goes to press conferences and is kind of the sort of the face of the club. That's why you have an attacking coach. That's why you have a defensive coach. That's why you have a midfield coach. It's so that he can implement the things that you want to see on the field. And I just think that now we need to start looking and directing more of our anger at guys like Carrick, McKenna, and Phelan. Regardless of whether you're Ollie in or Ollie out, we need to involve those guys in the conversation as well. Because coaching isn't just Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, it's those guys as well. And I still massively believe the players are involved too, because are you telling me, right, that these guys are playing with the same coach? But Bruno Fernandes is making the right runs and everyone else isn't. What is that? So is Bruno Fernandes getting a special coaching session? No,
I
he's
explained.
not.
I was thinking about this in the middle of the game. Look,
Yeah.
there's managers who are very hands-on now with the technical sides, with like Pep Guardiola and Klopp, and there's managers who I like to refer to as old school. Maybe that's not the most accurate term, like Ole. And Ole's style can work, but it won't be very consistent. One, because it needs, if you want it to be extremely consistent, it needs a lot of good players. Bruno Fernandes is class, and a class player will be consistent 80% of the time.
No
The
matter
rest of the
what,
players need a little bit more help. That's just how it is. So playing with a manager like that, you won't be as consistent as a Man City or Liverpool. You can maybe win a title, but okay, no, you can't win a title. Let's put it there. You need the quality. In terms of what I was saying with the ball going over the top, a manager like Pep, it's patterns. You work on patterns. There's three types of patterns we're going to play in. In this instance, we play like this. In this instance, we play like this. And I feel like Ole, because of his managing style, does not do that enough.
That's true, right? I'm not disagreeing with that. But you see, there aren't that many Pep Guardiolas in the world. There aren't many managers who can take the role of a manager and still be a good coach. And that's all I'm saying. Like, there's a reason why you have coaches to help you. There's a reason why you have an assistant coach. If you listen to Frank Lampard's interviews, and Chelsea fans, back me up in the comments down below if there's any of you listening, because I need your help right now. Frank Lampard has said a million times he would not be making some of the correct decisions he's making without his assistant coaches and the help of his coaches. So I'm not saying Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is in the right or I'm defending Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. No, not at all. Ignore the Ole out, Ole in debate for now. We need to just take the blame and direct it towards our coaching staff, the rest of our coaching staff, because the poor football is not just down to him. And I think with someone like Bruno Fernandes, you're 100% right. Like, some things have nothing to do with coaching, and this guy is just class. And that's what I've been saying. Like, when you watch Bruno Fernandes, right, and you watch every other player in this Manchester United team, you can easily make a debate that Dan James would do well at City. You can easily make a debate that Jesse Lingard in the right team, he did it for 3 months at United anyways, in the right team would be a better player. That's fair enough. But the point is, I think this team at the moment is exposing a lot of United players, and I think we just don't have the quality, especially if we don't have a coach that can get the best out of individuals. And that's just the reality. And people really want to be stubborn with that. So I don't really know what to say, because I ain't talking about the starting 11. I'm talking about the rest of the players. So, it's an interesting conversation. It's one I'm open to having, as long as, we're adults about it and we have reasonable opinions and we're not just being, we're not just being sentimental and romantic about the players we like and living up their asses just because we like them. Yeah.
I don't want to go too much on Ole. I think there has been an improvement. We have to say that. And I think with Bruno Fernandes coming in, it has really helped in terms of our attack and play. I think if Bruno Fernandes wasn't here, I think it might have been an instant of us not being able to break down the low block. So that's very good. I think there's something to build on. So he's worth giving until the end of the season. And if he makes top 4, even next season, we can't just throw him out because we feel like he's not tactically inclined, but then he has top 4. So there is something to build on.
Look, here's the thing with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, right? Like, I'm not going to tell you or tell anyone what they should be, Ole in or Ole out. Like, and I'm not going to sit here and defend Ole, but I do agree that football is a results game. And if Ole Gunnar Solskjaer makes top 4 or wins the Europa League and gets Champions League football, and gets a few more players in the summer, like a Jadon Sancho, and then a CDM, and then someone else in a key position for us, and then we start to see players actually playing well, right? My thing is, if Manchester United starts winning games, who bloody cares? You know, if the quality of football doesn't improve, then yes, I can sit and listen to you. If you're specifically complaining about the quality of football and you just want to be entertained throughout 90 minutes by seeing fluid attacking football, fine. There's nothing I can say to you to be OLE in, because OLE is not a tactical mastermind who's going to play attacking football. But if you're a person who's concerned about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's future long term as a manager in terms of success, I can understand it. But I would say, you know what? Like, if he does get Champions League football and he does get a lot of players and he does get lucky and he does go on a lucky run and we do see some individual brilliance, say, who bloody cares if United's winning? Like, who cares? I know that's a controversial thing to say, but if United's winning, I don't really care how it's happening. Not really, unless it's extreme. If we're getting the results, I don't mind, and I'm not gonna keep the Ole out agenda going if he gets the results. That's where I'm at. But if he doesn't make Champions League football, then that's another topic entirely. You know, so we'll just have to see. And the whole point of getting quality players in is so that you can improve your system. If we had 3 players who were in the same skill bracket of Bruno Fernandes. So if we had Bruno Fernandes, a Grealish, and then Fred / McTominay in the midfield, we will see quality football. Like, we didn't play well against Watford today because Ole Gunnar Solskjaer changed his tactics. It had nothing to do with the back four. We've played a back four this entire season and been crap. We've played a back five this entire season and been crap. So for me, as far as I'm concerned, it's got nothing to do with the tactics. And you can let me know if you disagree. But I don't think it has anything to do with the formation. The formation does make a difference, but not as big as a difference as people think it does. What makes a difference is who we're playing against and how much freedom or how well the synchronicity between players like Bruno Fernandes and the rest of the team is. Because as soon as you remove Bruno and Fred, then we're crap again. Then we're in that game against Club Brugge where we're not creating any opportunities. And so for me, I think today it was because we had the quality players. And if we add more quality players to this team, and we start seeing more consistent run of games, then what's the problem? You know, besides attractive football, what's the problem?
But I did like how we looked with the system today. I'm not saying the 5 is bad because it's worked. You can't say it's bad. But I do think it was one of the best performances we've seen with this program.
Definitely. You see, but that's the thing. Like, I'm not going to sit here and argue that playing a back four today wasn't the difference, because it's like arguing that there's no floating teapot around Mars. I can't prove that there's no floating teapot around Mars. You'll just have to take my word for it. We played against Watford today. They were crap. We played a back five against Tranmere. They were also crap. 2 different formations. We looked amazing against both teams. So make of that what you want, you know? Like, do you think a back four would have looked good against Chelsea? Probably not. Probably not. Not as good as today, is what I'm saying. So you have to take into consideration that we're playing the team that's in 19th place before you say, oh, this tactic works. Why don't we play like this all the time? Well, we still played with 2 holding midfielders, mate. And the difference today was Bruno. Not, like, let's be honest. And we'll get to the player ratings in a bit, but maybe Dan James as well had a bit of a decent game. But, you know, it's a conversation that I think needs to be had amongst Manchester United fans. But anyways, player ratings. De Gea out of 10.
8 out of 10. Kept a clean sheet and he made a very important save in the first half.
Interesting.
I don't remember the save, eh? Oddly enough.
He made a good save. He made a bloody good save. He made a Watford were on the break.
We gave them a gift.
And I forgot who the guy was. He was black and he took a shot with his left foot, and De Gea saved it. I just forgot his name.
But yeah, he kept a clean sheet. I can't say he had a bad game. So
it was an amazing save.
Yeah, there's only so much you can do as a keeper. So I'll give him a 7.
Yeah, I think he had a quiet game. Aaron Wan-Bissaka out of 10.
8. Also kept the clean sheet, defensively pocketed Deulofeu. I didn't know Deulofeu was actually going to go up against Wan-Bissaka, because I would have been a bit more at ease in my preview as well. So yeah, as soon as I seen he was up against Wan-Bissaka, I was like, game over. And,
can I be honest for a sec? before we carry on with the play ratings, can I be honest for a sec? With regards to Deulofeu, like, I get that Deulofeu is a good player, but I really don't get the level of respect that he's had going into this game. And I don't mean to call him crap or anything. I think he's a great player, but I think he's a flair player. I don't think he's consistently that good. I think he's a very hot and cold player. And I think with Deulofeu, I wasn't worried about today because I knew the chances were very slim that he was going to light it up at Old Trafford by himself with our defense. Like, I don't think... Yeah, like, I'm more scared of Troy Deeney. I mean, not Troy Deeney, sorry, of Traore, the Wolves player. I'm more scared of that guy than I am of Deulofeu because that guy is consistently, when I watch him anyways, he consistently puts in a shift and he consistently looks threatening, whereas Deulofeu is very hot and cold, you know? So I don't really know. I can understand why people were afraid, you know, because it's very easy to be negative as a United fan nowadays. You know, we've been scarred this season. But I just think we're giving Watford players way too much respect in this game.
Yeah.
Way too much.
Yeah.
I know you won't talk about Deeney, but Deeney is always a problem for us. I know it was ruled out, but he always seems to find the back of the net against us. It's
That's
so
true. I
strange.
didn't mean Deeney, but Deeney could be counted there as well.
I agree with you. He turns up when he feels like a Deulofeu. So maybe
That's a definition of a flair player.
Yeah. Wan-Bissaka, I didn't think he was as amazing going forward, but that's probably because he's not a wing back today and he was just a complete fullback. So I think that played a part. I think he was solid. He had made tackles when he needed to, and I didn't think he had an amazing game, but it was good enough. So I'll say 6.5.
I disagree. I think going forward he was good. Put in a very good cross that no one got on the end of. He had a shot as well. You know, he was making overlapping runs. He did pocket there a little for you. Defensively, no one gets past him. So I'm gonna give him an 8.
I'm gonna be honest. I can't be the mediator. I can't be the judge this time because my stream was cutting out a lot and I missed out large portions of the game. And funny enough, all the portions I saw were either when the goals were being scored, or when Dan James was on the attack, or when Fred was busy sending the balls to charity. I didn't really see much of Aaron Wan-Bissaka.
I don't think he needed to go forward too much today because going on the transition, we were pretty decent today.
Again, it's that thing where, and I don't know if you guys will agree with this, but it's what I said in the podcast this weekend. I said personally that I think the big positive of the back five is that Aaron Wan-Bissaka knows exactly what he needs to do on the right hand side and he can run freely. And then when he's got someone like Dan James or Mason Greenwood in front of him, it becomes very awkward because it's like, am I going or are you going? Are you going to cross or am I going to cross? Must I run or are you going to pass? Or should I just save my energy and wait for the counter? What are we doing? You know, like, I don't think there's a good relationship between Aaron Wan-Bissaka and our wingers. And it's understandable because our wingers are struggling at the moment and they don't even know what's what. So I think that's a big problem. I think where Aaron Wan-Bissaka shines is when he has the right flank to himself, to be honest with you. But that's just my opinion. What do I know? Lindelof, out of 10.
I was going to give Lindelof a standard 6, but he kept the clean sheet. But yeah, you know, that was the only player that I didn't want to see in today's lineup. But he gave the ball to Deeney early on where that gift was going to come, and Deeney didn't take the chance, obviously. And then, you know, in the air, man doesn't win anything really. And, you know, it just looked like he's suffering from some rust.
I think the argument against Lindelof is a bit harsh, and I don't think it's a bit harsh because I think he's better than Eric Bailly or anything like that. It's got nothing to do with who I think is better or who I think is worse. I couldn't care less if it's Eric Bailly or Lindelof starting as long as United win. But I think it's similar to the McTominay and Matic argument, right? Like, Matic and Lindelof are not my preferred cup of tea in that United defense / midfield, but they've both been really important. And I think it's very harsh to take someone who had one good game after spending so many months in the recovery ward and just throw him in and say, listen, mate, sorry, you're out the team. You know, this guy's better than you. Sorry.
And plus I agreed with it because in the pre-comments, Ollie said that, listen, Bayo was amazing last week. I don't deny that. It's just about, you know, managing him because, you know, he's injury prone and we do have to look after him because he just got back. So
that's another thing. But, like, you know, it's a bit disrespectful for me. Like, there has to be a level there has to be a what's the word I'm looking for? You have to earn your place in the team. Like, I don't think anyone just slides in besides Paul Pogba. Like, it's a bit unfair because Lindelof has played well. Even in that period where Maguire looked sketchy, I think Lindelof saved us a lot of times, and I think it's just unfair to just throw him out the team. And the only reason he played against Chelsea was because he was sick, and Bailey was available. Like if he wasn't sick, he would have played over Bailey. But you know,
look,
some people.
It's like Shinny and I watched 2 different games, to be honest, because I thought he was great. I thought he was really good. I think in the first few minutes he did make a few mistakes, and I was like, here we go, Bailey should have played. But second half, positioning, tackles, I thought he was spot on. I thought he was better than Maguire, to be honest. So I'm going to give him a 7.
Yeah, it is all about that fan opinion. I think it comes down to what you perceive as good. Like we spoke about this last time after the Chelsea game, when Shawnee thought that Bailey had a bad game, but we thought he had a good game. And it all came down to that skill that he did where he like did a 360 turn in our own box. And that could have been dangerous. Like if Bailey had lost the ball, they would all be saying, what an idiot, what a press. But the thing is he didn't, and it was good skill on his part. And so I thought that was a good performance. Some people disagree, but that's what it's about.
With Lindelof, he might not be great in the air. He's not great at that. Tackling is good, but not amazing. But he reads the game better than Maguire, I feel. Okay, there are times when Maguire looked amazing at that, but sometimes he slacks off. I think Lindelof has been more consistent with that. And today I saw his positioning. I thought his positioning was pretty good. So
that's the thing with Lindelof. Like, I think with Lindelof, you're 100% spot on. Like Lindelof ain't gonna give you a sliding tackle or bone crunching tackle and not get a red card like Bailey would on his good days. But his positioning's pretty good, and like the problem with Eric Bailey, I think, and the one thing that cripples his entire argument besides his injury problems is he's so rash. He's just so rash, you know. And Lindelof is a bit more composed. So I don't know. Let us know in the comments down below what you think of those 2 players and who you prefer if you're a United fan anyways. Maguire out of 10.
I thought he was good. That's really about. That's really about it. He had a header from Bruno Cross that I thought he could have done slightly better on it. But other than that, I thought he had a solid game. You know, he played out through the back. He dribbled out the ball through the back. You know, he was commanding. So 7.
It's like the opposite, honestly. I thought he was decent, but I did think he made a lot of silly mistakes in the second half, and he gave the ball away a lot. So I'm going to say 6.5.
Interesting. You guys are like opposite sides of the yin yang at the moment. What's going on? Brandon Williams.
You mean Shaw?
He didn't play. Shaw.
Oh, Shaw. Sorry.
Yeah.
Shaw. My bad.
I'm going to give Shaw an 8 out of 10. I think defensively he was our best player today. I thought going forward he was amazing, and then defensively he was very good. It was like he defended how he defended when he's been playing left centre back, and I thought he was really good today.
I've been saying it. I've been saying it. Shaw's good defensively.
Yeah, I have to agree 100%. Amazing. Like, just amazing. I think Shaw defensively is out of this world. Positioning, amazing. Tackling, amazing. And going forward, he didn't cross a lot, but the interplay, the link up, spot on. I think he's just fine.
He was helped a lot by Dan James and Bruno today, though, to be fair. Not a shot to Luke Shaw. He was amazing, obviously, but I'm just saying. That side of the field was more in sync than the other side. But anyways, Matic out of 10.
Hey! I thought he was average, 6 out of 10. I thought he was very tired. I'm surprised to see him play the whole game, but I was just wondering maybe he's playing the whole game because Ollie thinks that he's got McTominay back. So I'm not sure, but yeah, I was very surprised that he played the whole game. I thought he was very tired. Defensively, he was okay. He did what he had to, and it just, his passes weren't as good as they usually are. He gave the ball away a couple of times, but yeah, average I think 6.
I think both him and Fred improved in the second half because of how Watford were playing. I think defensively, I think he was pretty good. I think he was making a lot of good tackles. But offensively, yeah, I think it's because Watford were playing the low block, so he couldn't distribute as well. So yeah, he had a decent game. I wouldn't say bad. I wouldn't say amazing. It was decent. So I think he deserves a 6.5.
I just want to just go on a bit of a rant with regards to Matic. Not a long rant. I'll just sum it up with one perfect analogy. Comparing Matic's offensive abilities to other players in this team is like comparing a penguin's ability to climb a tree. It's silly. Like, he's not an attacking player. So, I just think at this team, he has been looked upon very unfairly. He's been one of Manchester United's key players, and I think he doesn't get the credit he deserves for the work he does defensively. For the most part. At least today he was average, and against Chelsea I thought he was poor because he gave away the ball so many times. But overall, I think Matic has been really solid for United, and even though I don't see a future in him because of his age, unfortunately, I don't know where we'd be without him, to be honest. I don't know.
Yeah.
With McTominay out and stuff. But anyways, Fred, out of 10.
I think
Fred was...
before I think defensively he's probably our best in the midfield, to be honest.
Yeah, because he's the only out-and-out CDM. Like, McTominay still has to learn how to defend properly, and Fred isn't really a proper CDM. He's just someone who can do it if he has the support, but I don't back Fred being a lone CDM, is what I'm saying. Like, I don't see him. But yeah, Fred out of 10.
I thought Fred was decent, very tenacious again. He gave away the ball a lot of times, but every time he gave it away, he won it back. But still, he gave it away and it shouldn't have happened. His passes weren't as quick as they usually are. But I thought he was still good, so I'm going to give him a 7.
He needs to get banned from shooting.
Yeah, and that, I thought it was going to be a goal. I was screaming for Bruno to get the ball in that position, but unfortunately went to Fred. And, out of all the players, I would have rather had Matic take a shot even.
Hey, Matic can hit a scorcher. Don't be sleepy on Matic.
That's what I said.
Fred, hey, Fred's finishing. I think we know the story there. I think it's a lot like Matic. I think his pressing was good, his close passing was good, but then he couldn't hit those long balls because Watford was so deep. I think around the 60th minute where Watford just fell apart, you started seeing him and Matic start expressing themselves a little bit more. So with that, I think he had a good game. So as well, 6.5.
See, it's so hard to judge this team because it's always, when Watford started slowing down, they started to pick up, Like, what if Watford just played well the whole game, Like, It's scary sometimes, it's scary, but let's not be negative, let's not be Debbie Downers. Bruno Fernandes, out of 10?
Oh, 9 out of 10. Excellent. Today, this guy is such a baller, man. He's such a baller. Bossed the midfield. He helped Daniel James so much. It's like he made Daniel James also have a good performance today. It's like he took him and he was like, listen, my friend, I tell you to make this run, make the run, bring this pass, do that pass, do this. He did very well. The penalty he won was amazing. It was so smart. He had every right to go down in the box there. I thought that was mad intelligence from him. The penalty was just, it was so class and confident, calm as you like, and he deserved it. And then also he got an assist on top of that to Mason Greenwood. Nothing fancy, just did what he had to do, move the ball quickly into the space, and we got a goal.
Get your lube out, because Shawnee's got a hard on. I'm joking. He was amazing.
Yeah. I agree with Shane 100%. Like, do we have enough time? He does everything. Oh my God, he's struggling to distribute the ball. Don't worry, I'll drop down and do it for you. Fred, he's struggling with the 6, struggling to move the ball around. Don't worry, I'll drop down and do that for you as well. Creativity, I've got you. Runs, I've got you. Goal, oh my gosh. This player is on another level. He deserves a 9.
It does.
He should be our player manager. Like, he should be our player assistant manager. Just stand next to Ollie there and be like, hey, bro. I spotted a problem, boss. Yeah, bring him on. No, like, I don't think I need to add anything else. Bruno is a class act. He is, I don't even know. If there's any rival fans watching the show, he's got an assist, he's got a goal, he's got 2 Man of the Match awards. So you can shut up now. He's a good player. He's not a flop. And if you actually watched Manchester United, you wouldn't need those stats. But just in case you didn't think Bruno was that good and would leave him up, he is that good. So let's just move on. Yeah.
To be honest, without Bruno today, I wonder about the result.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
100%.
That's what I'm saying. And you can look at that 2 ways. You can look at that and say, this guy saved Ole Gunnar Solskjaer from getting the sack today by getting 3 points. or you can look at it and say, if we had more players like Bruno Fernandes, Ollie's system would work. It depends how you want to look at it. Either
Plus,
way, we won.
Yeah. Like,
So
it's not
just
Ollie's
enjoy-
fault. He's got a good player on his team.
Yeah, so like, just enjoy it. Like, just enjoy it. Like, that's all I can say. Like, I'm
As a
not
United
gonna
fan, to
tell
enjoy
you.
today's game.
Yeah, like, I'm not gonna tell you which side of the fence to be on because it is about fan opinion. But just enjoy the result. Dan James out of 10.
Oh, I was tempted to give him man of the match, but obviously Bruno was just too world class. But today
I think
was.
if he had scored, he would have been in
Yeah.
the conversation for man of the match.
But today he was so much better. You know, there were some decisions where I was shaking my head, but today he was very good. He was very good. He was making runs on that left side that we've been missing a lot. You know, he did a small little trick to get past the one defender to put in a cross when no one was home as well. He put in very good crosses as well. No one home again. Attacking wise, he was just a nuisance for them. You know, when he has the pace and when he is using his pace at his advantage, I mean, that just shows how dangerous Dan James can be. And I think he deserves it a lot. You know, I don't want to hate on James. I don't want to say that I'm done with him or whatever, because I love Dan James. I have lots of faith in the kid, and I have faith that he'll develop. So I thought today he deserved it. And, you know, as United fans, I think it's good to see that from him. You know, he's happy, we're happy. So 8 out of 10.
Also, people won't talk about this unless you have a very keen eye. Luke Shaw made a lot of runs, and what I noticed about Dan James today is when Luke Shaw made the runs down the left, instead of making the obvious pass to Luke Shaw, he drifted inside and tried to get a shot off, which is what Rashford always does. Today. Yeah, and that's very intelligent. A lot of people won't pick that up, especially if you don't like Dan James. If you don't like him, I can't do anything about that. I've called him a one-trick pony many times, but I've never said he's... Okay, I've called him crap for the banter, but I've never actually believed that there's no player in Dan James. I do believe he can get better, and I think one positive thing I saw today was that he was intelligent. It's not the first time he's done the thing where he drifts in from wide, but I think now we're seeing more so now than ever that it's something he actually thinks about, and it's something he actually tries to make a core part of his game. And it's a big positive because that's something we've seen Rashford do a lot, and that's how Rashford gets a lot of his goals. So hopefully this is the beginning of something for Dan James. But we'll see.
Yeah. He gets into decent shooting positions. It's just unfortunate his shooting is not that great yet. But yeah, I think much better. I think he's more comfortable on that side. But then we've had games where he plays there and he's bad. I just think with Bruno Fernandes, we're feeling Bruno Fernandes. With Bruno Fernandes there, the outlet was better. So we could use him to his strengths. We could throw balls at him and he can run for them. So
he doesn't have a Lingard or Pereira.
Yeah. It was a much better game. And he was linking very well with Shaw. So I think he deserves a 7.
Yeah, and I just wish Aaron Wan-Bissaka had someone else on the right side. Like, imagine if after every attack that Dan James went down on the left, there was an equivalent on the right-hand side with Aaron Wan-Bissaka to do the same. Imagine how confused Watford would have been and how sloppy Watford would have been, because they would have been all over the show. I almost feel sorry for Bruno Fernandes, because at some point the big teams will realize that, okay, let's just swamp Bruno Fernandes, because that's, I don't know if you noticed, but Watford swamped Fred a lot in the first half today. And so I just feel like we need so much more balance in this team, because like if we could just like make a carbon copy of Dan James and then just switch his foot around and switch, like, I don't even know how to explain it. Like, if we could take Dan James, how he plays on the left wing, copy him and just invert his personality to the right, and then play both of them, and Martial down the middle with Bruno there, I think it would work so well, because then we'd be able to sustain pressure from both sides, is what I'm saying, with multiple options to attack, and it would be brilliant. And I think what I like about Dan James today is, the reason why I'm not critical of his shooting, unlike Fred, is because I don't expect him to score. I just expect him to apply pressure. And that sustained pressure creates half chances, like the Bruno penalty. A lot of people will call that luck. I just call it a result of sustained pressure. That's what happens when you sustain pressure. You force mistakes out of the opposition. And if you can toe poke the ball and take the contact, guess what? You get a free kick. That's the name of the game. You take the contact. So, you know, I just wish we had a solid right winger. But anyways, Tony Martial out of 10.
Tony Martial came from France. English press said he had no chance.
No chance.
50 million down the drain. Tony Martial scores again. Bruh, you know what? You have a martial agenda. You must be retarded. I'm just saying. You must not even know the sport of football. So yeah, that's just yikes. You know, everyone opening their mouth about Tony Marshall doesn't get the much service as he wants. And when he did, everyone I could see it already. As soon as Bruno put him through and he missed the first shot, everyone's like, "Oh, look at him! Chance gone, wasted, useless. He's lazy. Get him out. Put Igalo on. Get him out of the club." And then what does he do? Cuts in with the turn, chips it over the keeper, and he's just like, "Thank you. I'm Tony Marshall. I don't know if you know, sing my song." But yeah, that's what you want from a striker. 3 goals in 3 games. What more can I say? As long as he keeps fit, and he still, you know, yeah, as long as he keeps fit and he keeps his head up, he'll shut down the haters. You know, the agenda will stop at some point. And you know what? Tony Marshall will score again. So 8 out of 10.
That's why I think he needs to stay down the middle. Like, I don't agree with this Igalo nonsense and this obsession with Igalo starting and Marshall being pushed down the left. Let the man have his number 9 position. Jose took it away from him after he played so well in that position under Van Gaal. Let the man play where he wants to play, and he's going to do the things. You know, like, let the man play number 9. Stop this nonsense of putting him out on the wing.
You can be
like,
outright.
Yeah, like he can be. And I think I get why people are saying he should play on the wing, but I just don't agree with it, especially after performances like today. Like, he needs to stay there. Like, he needs to stay there. Igalo can relax. Yeah.
Before I get to praising him, I can say I can see why people like Jose moved him out of there, because he needs to work on his striking game. Like, as a striker, there was this chance where there was a cross and he just ball washed. You can't ball watch as a striker.
I remember the Greenwood one. The Greenwood one.
You have to
move. And Marshall wasn't there.
Finishing also needs work. So I can understand, and I don't think he should move. I just think he should work on those little things and become the good striker or the great striker we know he can be. But there's a lot of positives as well. I mean, hold up. All is going on about hold up, and it was decent today again, and he scored. Like, that, the footwork was amazing.
And that goal was
amazing.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and his numbers are amazing. You can't really argue with them because he has decent numbers. What is it now? 15 goals in the league, or something like that. That's pretty.
He's got more goals in the league than Rashford. So.
Yeah. There's a lot of good strikers or out-and-out strikers who don't have those numbers. So
look,
anyway,
with Martial,
I think those.
Yeah, you can give it a rating first.
Yeah, I think these are 7.
With Martial, the argument is not like, you know, like, yeah, if Martial's not your cup of tea, Martial's not your cup of tea. There's nothing I can do to change that. Personally, I like Anthony Martial a lot. I think there are better number 9s out there in the world. But I ain't saying no to Tony Martial if he's in my team and he's knocking on my door. Hell no. The thing is, when we talk about Martial haters, we're not talking about people who question his shooting and his finishing. We're not talking about the intellectual football fans who come up with reasonable arguments. We're talking about the, oh, but he's bloody lazy. When was the last time he scored? He's a waste of money. No, Brie, like, what do you want? What do you want? Do you want him to score a hat-trick? Is that what you want? That's who we're talking about. We ain't talking about the people who are sensible and have half a brain and actually watch football.
You know, if you say you don't like Martial because he doesn't make striking runs, yeah, you can work on it. You know, I can understand. But some of the hate Martial gets.
Sometimes he's just not your cup of tea. Like, sometimes, like, look, I don't like Harry Kane. Like, but that doesn't mean I think he's crap.
I don't like Haaland.
I just don't like
Harry
Kane.
Kane. Remember? In the summer?
Yeah, like, some people don't like Haaland. Some people think Haaland is very similar to Lukaku, even though he's lighting it up at Dortmund. Some people don't like a strong, bulky number 9 who sits in the box and pounces on chances. Some people want to see a person who's good at hold-up play, who's got agility, who's got the pace, and can nick a goal out of nothing just through sheer pace and flair. Like, some people like that. But I just think the agenda with Martial, it's almost got nothing to do with football, because I can tell you, if this guy had a British passport, mate, we'd all be
living up his ass.
Because we did it with Rashford. How crap has Rashford been throughout 90 minutes? And then he has 1 moment of brilliance. And, like, I do it because I am not afraid to admit that I like Marcus Rashford, but also I've said that I think that's all strikers need to do, and I maintain that with Martial as well. But some people are hypocrites. They do it with Rashford, but then they don't do it with Martial. Like, Rashford can get a through ball from the halfway line and then all he has to do is beat the keeper, and we're saying it's a good goal. But when Martial gets an interception from the halfway line, runs all the way to the box, and then still beats the keeper, it's just a lucky goal. It's just a lucky
Yeah,
goal.
it's just luck.
But
It's just luck. I love
Rashford's
it.
one wasn't lucky.
I love
Rashford's
it.
one was good because Rashford was in the right position. But Martial's one was lucky because the defender made a mistake.
Yeah.
And he didn't have to run and have a cool head. And it's just,
I've seen it today.
it's so irritating, bro. Like, and it's the same, it's the same people who hate Paul Pogba. Like, it's the same damn people. Like, the people who don't like Martial probably also don't like Paul Pogba because he doesn't have a British passport. I don't know when this turned into the Martial intro, but,
And I also think it's being one-dimensional. And it's scary when you hear analysts, former players say these type of things. And
Yeah.
it's the exact same things they used to say about Roberto Firmino. Oh, he's so lazy. Look at him.
Yeah,
Look
but
at now.
I
And now
I
they're
don't-
his praises.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I think with a player like Martial, we don't have to be worried about that because I think as long as he wants to stay at Manchester United and as long as he says I want to be the number 9 and I want to wear the number 9 jersey because of how good Martial is. I mean, if Martial's as good as we say he is, then he's going to keep proving the pundits wrong. That's what happens. It's like you mentioned Firmino. You can still call Firmino trash. The point is he's playing in a team that's invincible now, so you can shut up. Like that doesn't phase Firmino at all. And it's the same with Martial. The sooner Manchester United starts playing better, it won't matter. The Martial agendas won't matter. There'll just be white noise in the background because nobody's going to care. Like, we won't be talking about Martial being crap when Manchester United is actually playing good football. And I just think that, he'll keep proving the haters wrong because that's just the kind of player he is, as long as he can stay fit and stay in form. And that's all I've got to say with regards to Martial. Like, all these people have a Martial agenda. Like, they're just wasting their energy because as long as he ain't going anywhere, he's going to keep scoring. He's going to keep scoring. Well, at least I hope he does. But anyways, Greenwood out of 10.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. My boy. My lord. My religion. Mason Greenwood. I love this kid. I would play him every single day of the week. I love him so much. And I knew he was going to get goals today. You're not. I'm not even on the Bruno train here, guys. Greenwood is my favorite player. I seen a tweet even the other day. I don't know how the tweet goes, but Greenwood could have 100,000 fans. I'm one of them. Greenwood could have one fan. I'm one of them. And if he doesn't have fans, then I'm not on the set anymore. I feel like that. You can add me to that list as well. Because I love this kid. He's one of my favorite players at United. I speak so highly of him. And, this guy, he doesn't get a shot off target. Everything. Right foot, left foot. Doesn't matter the angle. He'll find a way. And today when he was giving the option and Bruno just put him through and I seen that left foot, I was like, there's a goal. Bang, crossbar. In.
You know what I've noticed with Greenwood?
That's how it is.
You know what I've noticed with Greenwood? And a lot of people might disagree with me, but I think Mason Greenwood is very similar to a player like Martial. Not in terms of skill or technical ability or anything like that. I mean in terms of mentality and temperament. I think Mason Greenwood is a player who firstly needs time to settle into the team, secondly needs time to grow, all of that stuff, yada, yada, yada. He needs experience. But I think he's the kind of player who will continue to prove his doubters and his haters wrong because he's just that good. And I think now that the spotlight's off him, he's going to work in silence and just keep scoring. Yeah. And everybody's going to have their attention elsewhere. And then when he finally scores an insane amount of goals, we'll be there like, wow, he's so amazing. And then the Greenwood FC people will be saying, we've only been saying that since the 2019-2020 season.
Yeah, and I think,
yeah, you can go first.
And I was just going to say that I was going to sing his praises because defensively also he was helping Aaron a lot. He's tracking back today. Him not being an out-and-out right winger, he was very good at it today. He made good passes, he made good runs. Tracking back, he was very good as well.
Yeah, you see, there's a correlation between world-class players. Well, let me rephrase that. Let me restart that sentence. There's a correlation between talent and hard work when it comes to world-class players. Flair players have talent and they're hot and cold. Good players are just hard workers and have a bit of skill to back it up. World-class players have the talent and the hard work and the work ethic, like a Messi and a Ronaldo. They're so insanely talented, yet they still work harder than everyone else, and so they're able to do it week in, week out. And I think what's scary about a player like Mason Greenwood is he's got such an amazing work ethic, and even if he didn't, he's so good. with his left and
So
right foot.
good.
Like, he's so good.
Ridiculous.
And I think if he continues to work hard, again, he's just going to keep silencing the haters because, like, there's no ways a player like that doesn't score when he gets
There's
chances
no
on a
way.
regular basis and gets minutes. And it's the same with Martial. Martial just has that thing that allows him to score goals. And it's the same with Rashford as well. It's the hard work combined with the talent. And if they just keep that up, then you're just wasting your time with the agendas.
Yeah.
But I was gonna say I don't think anyone has a Greenwood agenda because British passport is young.
Not yet, because he's not in the
Not
spotlight.
yet, yeah.
That's okay. That's true.
But
The
I
British
think
passport
people,
will help.
I think the British
Yeah.
passport will definitely help them a lot. But yeah, just to finish off,
Yeah.
8 out of 10. I love him. Gunwood doesn't miss.
Gunwood.
I think he had a really good game. Slow start, but he got into it. I think his movement was great. He dropped into midfield when he had to, but not too much like Mata, and he'd stick out there on the wing. And I think in terms of a player who sticks in the wing and operates the wing, on that side, he's the best we have, really. Yes, we can improve, but best we have. And I do you think him playing there more often will really help. So I think he deserves a 7.
Yeah, and I really think him not being in the spotlight will benefit him a lot. I really do. I think he's a player who can handle the pressure, but I still think he's too young. And I think what's best for him now is that everyone, like, his career just goes very low key for now.
Yeah.
He just bangs in the goals and it stays very low key. The last thing we need is Mason Greenwood having burnout syndrome and being played every game because he scored a hat-trick. And now Oli thinks he's the best thing since toasted bread and plays him and runs his career into the ground. But anyways, who's your man of the match then?
Bruno Fernandes, I can't
know if you
not
want to
give
talk
it to
about
Bruno
people
Fernandes. Igalo, I thought it was good, I thought, I think, it's like what Malot and I was saying, how we bring in Igalo into the team. Things like this, when you have to give him time. He hit the post, he was very unlucky, but he was sharp. He shows that striker instinct, the thing that Martial can develop. He knew a mistake was coming and he pounced on it. And it was just very unfortunate that he hit the post. It was a very tight angle, but it was good. I think we just got to be patient with Igalo. Don't push the agenda. Don't push him to start. Let him get his fitness. Let him get stamina. Let him work in the team. But he's a striker, so he'll get some.
It's difficult because people get hard-ons every time they see Igalo on the bench. Like,
I swear, it's like he's one of us.
People,
it's like
yeah,
Igalo
like people
plays,
want this guy
and
to
we're
start.
like, that's us. That's me as a United fan. I'm playing now.
I don't agree with the infatuation because I think people are forgetting that we brought this guy in the last 6 hours of the transfer window, and he was a desperate signing, and he's only going to be here for 6 months. Like, people need to chill, people need to chill. I like Igalo a lot, but
I love
chill, man, chill, just chill, just chill.
Martial's the future.
Yeah, just calm down.
Yesterday in the DMs, Maloto was bashing Martial, but we won't go into that.
Look, I really want to give the man of the match to Shaw. I really want to because he's had so much criticism coming his way. Ooh, he's fat. He's not good enough. And I think he really showed why we brought him to them. I think the problem with him is that he's injured so many times that he can't play at this level always because he has to work his way back.
The interesting thing is about that, that you say that. It's every time Luke Shaw starts to get into this good run of form, he gets injured, and then it's like we forget about it.
I think with Luke Shaw, it's just a matter of managing him, though. Like, this is where Brandon Williams comes in. Like, can we not play Luke Shaw every week now because you think he's the bomb? And the same with Eric Bailey. Can we not just throw Bailey in because he played well against Chelsea? Can we not make the same mistake?
Just manage.
Do the stupid thing where we just throw players in. Like, oh, he had a good game. Let's just forget that he's got injury problems. I think let's just calm down with Luke Shaw and let Brandon Williams and him share the role, because I think today he showed that defensively he can compete with Brandon Williams, and he's got the experience to really push Brandon Williams out of that role in a big game, I think.
Yeah. Defensively is amazing. How the heck is Luke Shaw so composed? It's absolutely amazing. He's one of the best defensively in the Premier League, in my opinion. But I won't give it to him because I feel like Bruno was more effective. So I think Bruno was better than match.
Yeah, it's the sad reality of football. It's hard to give goalkeepers and fullbacks man of the match because as important as those positions are, you can never truly say, well, with goalkeepers you can. Like, you can say, we would have lost if De Gea didn't make X and X save, blah, 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 blah. But with fullbacks, it's so hard. With fullbacks, it's really hard to give them man of the match because it's like, yeah, it's like you're a fullback. Like, HUD is. Like, you're just as important as everything else in the car, but you're not that important, you know? Like, if you fall out, the car won't break down immediately. It will break down over time, but it won't break down immediately. Like, we can ride a few kilometers without you. That's the sad reality of a fullback. If I knew more about cars, I'd make the perfect analogy, but I don't, so just bear with me. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer out of 10.
Yes. Ole. Yeah, as you know, I hate you. As you know, I'm Ole out. Will my decision change? Probably not. There's like 99.9 chance it probably won't change. But today, you picked the team I wanted, by one player. You did what I wanted you to do. I have no complaints. You made me happy, man. You know, if you did this every week, I'd probably be even happier. But yeah, like, you know, I hate Ole, but when I have to give credit to credit's due, and he did what I wanted him to do, and he listened to what I said also, played the front three I wanted and all things. Nah, I don't friend.
Shani. Hate is such a strong word, Shani. This is not healthy. Shani, I'm worried about you. I'm worried about your mental health.
Give him a line. What they say.
I'm worried about your mental health.
You made me happy today.
Look, if we can keep playing like that, we play like that every week and we improve on that, honestly, Poch can mize. And we make top 4. He can honestly mize. Because I'm not looking forward to starting another rebuild. So, and I think today was a decent performance. He deserves to get the applause. So I'll give him a 7.
Yeah. That's why I keep saying, like, let's not waste our time and go at each other's throats about this Poch nonsense until May. Because the reality is, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer ain't going anywhere till May. It's like living in an apartment with a roommate that you absolutely hate, but you know you can't kick him out because he pays half the rent. You need him until a certain point in time. You found a candidate that you want to come stay in your room, but the candidate says, I can't come for the next 6 months. I can only come after 6 months. Exactly. So what are you going to do? Are you going to get home every day and prank this guy and try be miserable and try ruin his day? No, like, you're going to have to be positive and learn to live with the guy. And who knows? 6 months from now, you might think, actually, this guy's not such a bad roommate. I'm willing to give him another chance. But the only way that happens is if you just open up your mind and relax a bit and just realize that your negative energy won't change anything. And I'm not saying be all in. I'm just saying realize that he's not going anywhere. So just enjoy what you can.
Sure.
We won 3-0. Just enjoy it. If we lost, I completely understand, but we won.
Plus, you know,
and
Ole Gunnar
just enjoy it.
Solskjaer, you listen to our podcast, he was like, Shoni, I agree with you. And that's what he did, so.
Okay, buddy. Yeah, like Brandon Williams, you know, is in Shawnee's DMs all the time because, you know, their father. They got their father and son relationship. And he was telling him today how, you know, he should keep his head up. Even though Shaw's starting and Shaw's looking banging, he will make it back into the team within no time. I don't know what I'm saying, to be honest. I think that about wraps up the show. Is there anything else to talk about? There was one thing I wanted to say, but I really can't remember what it was, and it was with regards to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Oh, yeah. I wanted to ask you guys a question, right? Do you think, because this is a question I think a lot of United fans need to answer in their heads, like, over the past few weeks, people have been romanticizing. I've seen the Instagram edits and everything, and I must admit I'm guilty of spreading some of them. Pogba and Bruno next to each other. Do you honestly think when Pogba's fit and ready that he's just going to slide into the team and play next to Bruno and we're just going to play with one CDM? Do you really think that's going to happen? Or do you think Ole's going to keep doing what he's doing now and Pogba will just play in the same role that Fred is playing and then Fred will perhaps get moved into the role that Matic has?
Now, I want to say two options here. Two options was, I remember early on in the season when everything was happening, like, why isn't Ole playing the 4-3-3 attacking with one holding midfielder? Is it because the players? So, you know, you could play him like that. But yeah. I think the more likely situation is, I think Pogba does just get back straight into the team. And I think he could play in the holding because Ole played him there before. And I think he can do it again.
Yeah, no, I don't think you play one holding midfield. It's just not an option.
Would you be mad if Pogba played the way Fred plays now, obviously with just Pogba's abilities? Like if he had the same instructions, so to say, as Fred right now, with Bruno in the sort of 10/free roam role, and someone like Matic next to him.
I wouldn't say I
he
feel
was gonna. To be honest, I think
What's that?
he'll play there, and I think he might be better at it. Maybe he's not. Like Fred is not good defensively. Pogba's worse, but I think going forward and in terms of playing as an 8, I think he's way better than Fred. So I think he will play. And why I'm confident it will happen like that, I remember they asked him basically exactly this against when we played Watford the last time. And he wasn't direct about it, but he basically said Pogba's world class. It doesn't matter if Fred is playing well, Pogba's world class. So I do think he will slot in and probably play next to McTominay or Matic.
Yeah, you were cutting out there for me, but I think I heard the important parts, and I must say I do agree with that. But to answer my own question, I don't think I'd be too mad at that, to be honest, as long as Pogba wasn't playing too deep. And I don't think the thing is with Paul Pogba, right? Like I think it's so easy to criticize the system, and it's so easy to use Ole Gunnar Solskjaer as a scapegoat for Manchester United's problems, and rightfully so. He's the manager. But I just think with Bruno in the team and with someone like Matic, not Matic specifically, but just someone playing the role that Matic has been playing over the last few weeks, perhaps with better legs and maybe just learning how to defend as well as Matic, I do think that Pogba would naturally just play more advanced anyways. Like, I don't think Pogba would feel the need to sit deep and suppress his attacking urges if he had someone next to him who he could trust. Like, I think he'd be like, sod it, coach, sod it. I'm going to go for the shot, and I'm going to go for this play.
Yeah.
And
I still think, like, despite how good Bruno is, I still think there's things Paul Pogba can do that Bruno Fernandes can't do still, and Paul Pogba is still my favorite human player at Manchester United until he leaves. The only way you beat the way I stand on Paul Pogba is if we sign Ronaldo. But obviously that's never going to happen.
Look, with regards to Paul Pogba, if you're telling me we can sell Paul Pogba and get Grealish in as well as someone else, I'll take that any day.
Grealish, it hurts, but Grealish is my third favorite player. So.
Yeah, well, yeah, I would take that deal in a heartbeat, to be honest, because
it makes more balanced. Bruno Fernandes is more of an 8, and he's very good at that, and Grealish should be more of a 10. And on that argument, my stand is that Pogba's not a 10. He can play there pretty well, but he's not. He's best in the 8 position. Control the midfield very well, but also come to the edge of the box and get shots away.
Yeah, he's a box-to-box player. Like, all the people who say Pogba should play in the 10, I think, they were just lost in Pogba.
We didn't have any creativity.
Yeah, I know that Pogba can play in the 10, and Pogba's so good that when he plays in the 10, he still maintains his attributes. So naturally, he'll still look like a very world-class player. But actually, if you look at Paul Pogba as a number 10, he really isn't. Like, he was just a quick fix for United. And I know that people who live up Pogba's ass won't agree with that, because if you live up Pogba's ass, you live up Pogba's ass. There's nothing I can do to change your mind. But he's just not a 10. Like, he's good at it, but he's just not a 10. I think his best position, and the Pogba I really like to see, is the 8. Box to box, up and down, dictating things in the midfield. Not too defensive, not too attacking, but just dictating things in the midfield and holding.
Like how he plays for France. Just like how he plays for France.
Yeah, that's the Pogba I like to see. Not the Pogba who is dribbling and is now at the corner flag and he's doing all these things, and then when we lose the ball, we're like, oh no,
Paul would win your midfield battle one man.
Yeah, but I just think that he's an 8, and I think it's at the moment I'm not too. If you ask me pre Bruno Fernandes what I thought about Pogba, I would have told you that I want him to stay at Manchester United. But now that Bruno's here, I'm really not bothered about Pogba going. I obviously like him a lot, and it's going to hurt when he leaves. But I think it's best he should just leave. We should use the money to buy someone like Grealish and get another replacement in. And I think, look, I've always maintained my belief. I don't think we need a player like Paul Pogba to challenge for titles. I don't. I just think Bruno Fernandes is that good if he has the players around him, and we improve our attack. Done. We don't need to replace Paul Pogba with another Paul Pogba, and then be sat here 3 years from now saying, why can't this team play football? It's just a bit redundant. But anyways,
it's all about the balance. Look at Liverpool. Gini Ronaldo.
Yeah.
He's not amazing. When they bought him, he wasn't like a world-class player coming to Barcelona.
he came from Newcastle. Yeah, like all of Liverpool's signings were so low key. Yeah, it really is. But anyways, I'm gonna end it right here, gentlemen. Before we go on too much of a tangent, please do leave a like on the video. If you made it this far, you're an absolute legend, and thank you for contributing to the community. Don't forget to smash that like button. We'll catch you in the next one. Peace out.